I'm gonna play the Apollo.
Hey, you read the sign.
They will love you or they will hate you, and they will let you know their verdict immediately.
Do you think this is the right crowd for me?
Well, it's the crowd you got, so let's hope so.
I don't want nothing old but some old money. Welcome to the Apollo.
For the last 86 years, the Apollo has always been a beacon, a home, an artistic home of Black culture, of artistic excellence.
I've been providing service to the Apollo Theater for over 55 years. People started calling me Mr. Apollo. You have that whole mixture of different cultures, different ethnic groups that have rocked the Apollo Theater.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, her first time at the Apollo, Mrs. Maisel.
Tits up. Whoa. You all look like you've just seen a ghost.
Comedy is very much a part of the programming at the Apollo Theaters, has been for years and years. I've seen everybody from Moms Mabley to Flip Wilson to Pigmeat Markham. Jackie Moms Mabley was somebody very special because I remember I used to run errands for Moms. She sold out the Apollo every time she came there. Everybody put on their best new outfits. They have their little libation and they hear Moms just slay the audience. It was something to behold.
I don't like no old man. I don't give a damn what color he is.
Moms was one of the characters that I studied to help prep for this part.
Moms is everything to me. I mean, if I hadn't been that little girl in front of the TV, seeing her on Ed Sullivan or whatever, so many shows she was on, I know I wouldn't be a comic today. I wouldn't be doing this. It was totally her.
Mom. M-O-M frontward, M-O-M backward, upside down, W-O-W. Wow.
And my mother had said, she said, you know, you've been playing Moms Mabley like since you were a little girl. She said, yeah, you used to walk around with a dust cap on your head and do a little old lady walk like Mom. Yeah, so this was absolutely like a dream come true and just a way for me to say thank you to Moms.
I think, why don't we go out to the country? You know anything about the country? He says, sure, I know about the country. When I was a young boy, I used to live in the country. I said, when you was a young boy, everybody lived in the country.
The thing about Moms is her jokes were expertly crafted.
Yeah. They say you wouldn't say nothing about the dead unless you can say something good.
He's dead. That's good.
When you listen to like the craftsmanship of those bits.
There was no extra word in her jokes. It was all honed to like this perfection that is just so incredible. It was incredible to hear you do it. It's like, I didn't want you to stop.
I just have to say, I think similar to the conversation we've been having about Moms Mabley, you know, Amy and Dan, you guys don't use any extra words or any extra beats. You get to the point, and when the words are said exactly as they are written, it's perfect, but it is. You're always right, and I hate it. But it's true. It comes to life with a whole lot less effort when the writing is as brilliant as it is.
We're as careful as I think like a stand-up comedian would be about the precise words, and we try to hone down so that every word means something or is supporting something. So
yeah, it's music.
I shouldn't go out there. This is a very important show for Shy. It's a comeback show. If I fail, it could look really bad for him.
Then don't fail.
I am gonna fail.
Now look at me. Yes, that's gonna be a tough crowd. They will love you or they will hate you, and they will let you know their verdict immediately. And maybe you should cut back on the Jewish brisket talk a little. You know Shy. They know Shy. Get out there and talk about Shy.
My dad actually played the Apollo. He was opening for Dinah Washington.
Really?
Touring with her. And the story about my father is that he told me, and that we incorporated a little bit into this thing we call Maisel, is when he was going to go out on stage, she grabbed him and said, listen, don't go out and do any of that, your act shit. Don't do that. And he's like, well, what the hell am I supposed to do? Because that's kind of what you hired me for. She goes, no. They don't want to hear that. I live here. These are my people. Just talk about me. And he goes, well, she literally said, just go out there and talk about me and talk about hanging out with me, you know, because she says, like, I'm sitting on my porch every day. They know who I am. And literally my dad went out on the stage of the Apollo and talked about, so here's what my life with Dinah Washington has been like the past 6. And that was the act. And the audience was so engaged in that because, again, she was absolutely right. She's like, this crowd wants to hear about me. They are here to see me, you know, and they want to hear about me, and they know about me, and there's nothing, you can walk out there and you can talk about anything you want, and they're going to know about it. They already know. Like, there's no secrets here. It's family. And it was an interesting story that always stuck with me, because I thought, well, Jesus, I mean, that's sort of the power of stand-up.
So I've been hanging out with Shy on tour, and I discovered that all he has to do is sing. He has a guy for everything else. Well, just about everything else. No, he pretty much has a guy for everything else. You see him on the road, his guys falling over themselves outside his door. Whatever you need, Shy. Let me tuck you in, Shy. Let me get that makeup off your collar, Shy. Don't be scandalized, it's his. We were on the road a while, and coming back to New York, I was a half a day on a plane, a train, a bus, a cab, a rickshaw. Shy comes home. He doesn't need a plane. He doesn't need a train. He just puts on his Judy Garland shoes, clicks his heels together 3 times, and says, there's no place like Harlem. There's no place like Harlem.
Had you played the Apollo before, Wanda?
Yes. This was when they were doing, they had like a comedy hour. It wasn't like the real Showtime at the Apollo. This was the comedy hour that they did. And really walking out playing moms, it was just as intimidating as when I did the Apollo. I had the butterflies and all. And then after the first rehearsal, and then the audience laughed and everything, I was like, oh man, good. And I was like, hey, dummy, they're paid to do that. What are you doing? What are you doing?
I wasn't paid. I was laughing.
Yeah, I want a campaign for Black people, right? How about like some billboards all across the country of Black people just doing fun, non-threatening, frivolous shit. Just Black people just like bowling, just. How about some slogans, you know, like Toys for Tots? How about a good slogan for Black people? Hey, let's get Black to business.
What is it about stand-up comedy that you can't stop?
You know, we have to talk about something. I wouldn't know what to do, like where to put that, you know? It's just how we're wired. So, you know, I'm not gonna walk around my house and do a quick 5 minutes, you know, it's
you know?
You can do it with us anytime.
But you have to get it out there. It's just how we're wired, I think.
The comedy and comedian element of this show was definitely the most intimidating part heading in. As a non-comedian with a handful of comedian friends, those are the people I was the most terrified to lay eyes on this show. The comedians know where it's at, and they would call me on bullshit immediately.
Thank you. Welcome to the 2008 annual spring benefit at the world-famous Apollo Theater, where stars are born, legends are made, and dreams are booed on the stage. I'm your host for tonight, Wanda Sykes. I know, I'm shocked too.
The first time I did the Apollo, it's like all you're doing is like, okay, if you bomb, everyone's gonna know because the Sandman's gonna come out and yank you off the stage, and that's the most embarrassing thing. And comics, that's all we do. We still go through YouTube and find different comics who got booed, and
No,
it's funny for us. We go, So I mean, you could. I have a friend. Keith Robinson. He could like just kill, and I go. Remember the time you got booed? At the Apollo. I mean, that's just. You don't want that, right? When you walk out, it's a dice roll. You're like, oh, geez. And I remember, like, not even, like, hearing myself do the jokes because it was like I'm looking at the audience, but I kept my eye on Sandman. Like, where's Sandman? Where, like, you're looking off into the wings, like, and you're looking at the audience, like, okay, all you need is for one person to go, and that just starts it. It on to the next person. I mean, that next person could be like, oh, this is what we're doing. Oh yeah. Okay. And I said, as soon as I see like 3 of those, I'm just gonna go, thanks, good night, and just get my set early.
I would not have the stomach to do what you do. Oh man.
You definitely are, just like subjecting yourself to just people flat out telling you they don't like you, and it's personal, So
yeah.
Does it ever get easier? Like, does it feel easier than when you first started, or no?
No.
Oh, God.
No. I'm sorry. No, because now there's expectations. There's a certain level that they expect now.
I definitely can't relate on that level. I genuinely can't even imagine it. But that the weird parallel stand-up universe that we're living in has felt largely the same. The bar's been set, and we keep raising it internally, and it only gets scarier. But I understand how that feeling is addictive.
Well, it's part of the reason we did it is because, as Midge's world expands, the show expands. So we get to just blame Rachel. It's all her fault. But,
always her fault.
But Midge needed to see Moms Mabley. Midge as a comic, as a character, as somebody who was going to evolve and take her own life to the next level. It's somebody that she had to really be exposed to really see like, oh shit, I know that there's Lenny Bruce out there and he's been amazing, but he is a dude. And this is a woman. And so far, Midge's journey has been Sophie Lennon, who's sort of a mishmash of a bunch of caricatures of women who chose to not be themselves and not talk about their own experiences so that their comedy wasn't viewed through a female lens. And what's interesting about Moms is all of her shit is about being a girl, being a woman.
I married an old man when I was nothing but a child. Nothing but a child, 15 years old. That was a curse back in my day. You had to marry who your parents picked out for you. My daddy picked out this old man. Old man.
My daddy liked it. My daddy should have married her.
No matter what era it is that you listen to her material, she's still talking about the troubles of being female in a male-dominated world. She actually built the door that other people could walk through. And in reading about Moms, people always talked about how generous she was and how incredibly encouraging she was and how she wasn't one of those people who kind of needed to tear other people down to build herself up, and that actually helped inform the interesting scene that we had between the two of you.
Excuse me, Moms? I mean, Miss Moms Mabley. Ma'am, I don't know what to call you, but I am a really big fan.
Well, a really big fan might know what to call me.
I'm so familiar with you as a stand-up, but I haven't seen that sort of the quiet complexity that you put into that scene, and I was personally blown away by it.
Who the hell is this little white girl anyhow?
Oh, Marcus, you back off now. That audience out there is gonna give her a tough enough time without you in her face. It was nice meeting you, Mrs. Maisel.
Wanda, what's the response been from audiences after having seen you do Moms on the show?
It's been incredible. I mean, just my friends and family, they all say it's the best thing I've done. Yeah, and then it's like you said, some younger people who they weren't aware of Moms, and they're like, I'm gonna check her out. I'm like, you should. I mean, you're a comic, you should know who Moms Maisel is. So,
watching from the wings that set come to life, that was a really special experience. I feel like I'm often on the stage and don't get to experience that. And this was a particularly transcendent moment.
Being able to play Moms and walking out on that Apollo stage, that was, I mean, and not for me, Wanda, but for Moms Mabley, for Moms to be on this amazing show. And, then you guys just took such great care of her, and it was just so much respect that you could feel. She means a lot, so it was really amazing that you guys brought her back to life.
I don't want a fancy gal with powder and paint.
The music of the Apollo Theater and the music that has been expressed on that stage, it is so diverse. Music has been the thing that brought everybody to that place. And the Apollo Theater continues to present that to this very day. The late 50s doo-wop was very, very popular. Then you get the 60s and you get the Motown acts, the Sam Cookes, the Johnny Mathis, the Lou Rawls. These guys could really, really sing.
Did you say I've got a lot to learn?
The joy of doing this show is to show people the wonders of New York. It's a little bit of a love letter. And the Apollo is such an important, amazing piece. I mean, the talent that was discovered at the Apollo, that came out of the Apollo, and the audiences of the Apollo are like audiences nowhere else. Something about us being able to have a love letter to the Apollo has been in our minds for a very, very long time. And we did it. And now we can die. That's how it works, right? LeRoy, you're not a real person who played the Apollo, but it's sort of a combo of many of the greats who sort of graced the stage, and Darius with that beautiful voice. I think everybody believed that with that voice belonged on the Apollo stage.
LeRoy, talk to me a little bit about what the experience was like being on that stage, performing. Give it to me.
Well, if it were not for the rehearsal the day before with Marguerite, it could have been an absolute disaster, because I remember the first time I stepped foot on that stage, my legs were just shaking. I mean, there is an undeniable energy in that theater and on that stage. To touch that stage and look at the signature wall and to rub the tree stump, it was almost too much. And then to look out and then, there's Marguerite, our choreographer, eating fried chicken. I was like, this is it. I've made it. I've made it.
So my quick attachment to the Apollo, when I graduated from NYU, I lived on 125th and 5th Avenue, right? So I've never experienced New York City with any amount of capital in my pocket. So I lived in a furnished room in a 4th-floor walk-up, and it was so hot, baby. How hot was it? Thank you. I would lay down on my little, twin-size bed in my birthday suit. And I would get up and there would be a sweat imprint of my body left on the bed with my little green rotating fan trying to cool my black ass off. I would ride the M60 up and down 125th for air conditioning, which went right past the Apollo. And the other late night hangout I had, which is probably where your girl got her chicken, the Popeyes, which is bright. Okay? So that's the closest I come to the Apollo until I got a chance to be on Leigh.
I'm gonna say hi to Shy.
Do not bother him too long. He has vocalizing to do. He cannot be rusty tonight. Hometown crowds, they love you the most, but they also give you the most shit when you're on your best game.
When we initially started with the Shy Baldwin character, again, sort of loosely based on like a Johnny Mathis, Sam Cooke kind of character.
I know.
We wanted somebody who had the beauty in the voice to really be able to sort of be that non-threatening crossover character that Rose Weissman could say, this is my favorite vocalist.
He has a sort of corporate face. He knows how to be network friendly because he's an ambitious guy.
But then have the sex and the energy and the power that when he needs to do woman, a lover, a friend, that shit's gonna like blow the roof off.
I want somebody to hold my hand, somebody to love me and understand. I want a woman, I want a lover, I want a friend.
That's a tricky combination because usually you can get one or the other, and we wanted to make sure that we had a range for this character, that this voice was, the talent was so big that the tragedy of his having to keep his life so secret was even amplified because there was so much there, that there was so much that if he didn't have to think about that shit, you know, I think you can push things even bigger into the stratosphere. And finding the voice that could characterize that arc that we need was extraordinarily difficult. Darius, my love, my angel, my everything. It was very, very, very hard. And so much of the song is the story. You know, for us, music is always story. We've never been big ones to like get a song and it's just sort of, it's back there and it's a thing. It's a little like, it means something, it feels something, it pushes something, it's saying something about the moment.
One of the things I'm so grateful through this process is learning a language of music. And watching Darius and how you would interact with the musicians, there was so much lingo I had to learn that I picked up. I was like a kid in school. I loved it because it's a world that I've always kind of wanted to be a part of, but didn't think I'd ever get the chance to. When it came to actually the performance of it, I knew that I wanted it to be, for myself, as immersive as possible. So I started off, go into the booth, and then just watch Darius's mouth, his eyes, because he's very expressive. And I love that, that part of who he is as a performer. So I knew I wanted to blend that into it. And so he would let me record with my phone like 2 inches from his face.
My big mouth, just like.
And then what I would do is, just like in Shakespeare, I'd watch where he would take a breath. And so then in learning that strictly and breathing exactly where he would breathe, then it allowed to me to be expressive in between the breaths. So it was very mechanical, but it was very necessary, at least for me, who does not come from, you know, this world, to be able to marry what I did know and what I do feel comfortable in, and fuse it into this world to give myself some sort of framework.
I think for LeRoy to be thrown into that thing and to get that energy, because, you know, Black people will give it to you. You know, you know, we're gonna give you. It's like, okay, that's what you're gonna do. Okay, let's be in there, and you have no choice but to really roll into that energy. And I think you, Amy, have a very natural affinity connection for that. I had a connection to that through my family, you know, who also performed at the Apollo. My aunt did the Apollo contests. When my mother, aunt, and uncle performed as a trio, they performed at the Apollo with Brooke Benton. You know, they knew Sam Cooke. They knew, you know, they. So it all seemed like it's sort of like this sort of kind of coming back around thing. It's like, oh, this is where I was supposed to be with you all to help really support that idea and to hopefully give it, you know, authenticity.
I always feel that there's an energy of a place. And one of my favorite moments in the whole season, and one of our sound recordings team's least favorite moment of the entire season, was when we insisted that Sterling sing live in Vegas.
I can't be responsible for what happens. People gonna find out who the real star is. I got a gal who's always late. Anytime we have a date, but I love her. Yes, I love her. Is you, ain't my baby.
When I got a chance to record with Darius for Vegas, it was so much fun. And I was immensely blown away. I was like, this brother has so much soul. Like more in his pinky than I have in my whole body. But then I realized Darius is actually 79 years old.
Yeah.
It really, guys, it really doesn't crack. And when he talks about these musicians, it's because he's contemporaneous with them. He knows.
And let me just say, Sterling K. Brown came in ready, and when we got in that studio, it was like boom, boom.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And I think I whispered to you, Darius, I was like, of course he can sing. It's so unfair.
Like we got Sterling for like 10 minutes, and we're like, everything he does, we're throwing in there. He can sing, he's gonna sing. Like literally, I mean, we would have stolen him for the whole season if This Is Us would have let us. It was a big coup for us.
It was such a pleasure to be a part of the season because of the legacy of performance that the Black community and Jewish community have that run parallel and are intertwined with one another. And also in terms of civil rights pursuit, always being allies and whatnot, the idea of somebody Black being anti-Semitic or somebody Jewish being anti-Black just seems sort of anathema to me because we have a shared history of struggle and performance. And I think that legacy of performance comes out of struggle and oppression. The desire and need to entertain, to put people at ease so that we can be safe. You know what I mean? So to see the worlds merge in such a lovely way, like having been a fan of the show for the first 2 years, I was like, they have her talk to that one Black musician and the dude who's playing the drums. I was like, they better get some Black folks in this piece. And then 1960 comes along and shit gets Black, and I'm very, very thankful.
Yes. Thank you. And now you can't turn back.
No.
Dance is very much a part of the Apollo Theater. I just sit there at amazement, just watching and says, wow, I'm here to witness this, you know. I've seen Gregory Hines, you know, Maurice Hines, Savion Glover when he was a kid, just tapping his heart out. Savion was that bridge between the Hines brothers and then modern day hoofers to the now generation of dancers.
When we were talking about what we can do at the Apollo, I really wanted to tip my hat to Gregory Hines, Maurice Hines. So thank you for joining us because it's sort of an homage to these two great tap dancers. And I've been such a massive fan of yours for so long. It's ridiculous.
It's overwhelming to know my name is connected to these great expressionists, these great contributors. And then these great places. I want to say places of worship, like the Apollo. I would just be in the wings, like watching. You know, I would watch either Sandman work or watch him over there on stage left with 50,000 outfits, you know, putting on the clown thing and doing it, and I would just be amazed. And then other times I would, you know, over the years, I was able to go back and present my own performances there.
Oh, Apollo, this is one of my favorites. Please welcome Broadway, film, and TV star, the tap dance kid. Show your love, everybody, for Savion Glover.
When Amy called and said we were going to be going to the Apollo Theater and that we were going to do a tribute to the Hines Brothers, it was like somebody giving me a gift.
When Marguerite and I were talking about, if we're going to do this, we got to find the people who can do this, who can really show what sort of art form this was. And I remember when we couldn't find the kids, I said, call him because he's gonna know. He's gonna know where, he's gonna point us in a direction.
I was so impressed with you guys in rehearsal. I put the track on and you said, okay, and you walked to the side. And the first time you did it, it was perfect. And then the first time you walked on the stage in costume with that audience, all of a sudden, you guys just blew it up to another level. Every single take, it was so electric.
The trading cats, like that was choreographed too, your trades?
Yes.
Wow.
Well, yeah, mostly.
Wow.
They picked their trading, but then we kept it so that in shooting over and over and over, it kind of had a continuity to it. But the thing I loved about you guys is that every single time you did it, it looked like you were grabbing it out of thin air.
The energy of the Apollo really gave us a boost. The energy of live performance in general.
For these two young cats representing this style, it represents what is to come forward again. I am no longer saying, oh, they're bringing it back, they're bringing it back. I said to myself, oh, they're bringing it forward again. They're bringing it forward again. The idea of the act.
I mean, that's what we were looking for. Like, who's taking it forward? Who's pushing it on? Who can we show to the world that, like, hey, this has got to exist?
Because we're twins and because we're brothers, I think we have to embrace the fact that we're double trouble, a double act, a team. And about keeping the heritage of the twin act. Right, the Hines brothers, the Nicholas brothers.
I wouldn't put ourselves in that same sentence yet, but I think we're getting there somewhat.
As you continue to focus on your act, I encourage you to keep jokes in mind, keep your singing, keep everything that makes entertainment possible to be enjoyed. And that's
so much, Savion.
A well-rounded performer. You look at Sammy Davis, you look at Honey Coles, they did everything. He told a joke, he sang a song. That's what made them who they are. So go ahead, fellas.
For the other number we did, the script said, her leg hangs in the air for an impossible amount of time. And we sure did that. When there's a dance number in there, it's always driving the story forward. And that song was just such a pivotal moment in the story. So for me, the dance, had to reflect that. And then the way Amy shot it, oh my God, just so magical. With Maisel, everything dances on the show. Midge going down a hallway is all choreographed. It's a pas de deux constantly between the actor and the camera. are the dancer and the camera. It's what makes everything on Maisel sparkle.
As soon as like we all kind of get comfortable again and can be assured of our health, dance and performance is going to come exploding back.
We don't have a choice right now but to be, digging into our thing, like our craft. And man, I agree with you so much. I think Broadway, I think the spectrum of entertainment, I think dancers, they're going to articulate sounds and emotions, that I think will advance the art and then advance them as well.
My mission for the Apollo is that 86 years from now, the world is talking about the artists that we are cultivating today. In the same way that over the last 86 years, the artists that have come through the Apollo that we talk about, that we honor, that we herald, that are part of our Walk of Fame, like Mom's Mabley. But we want to make sure now that we are creating a contemporary performing arts institution that will outpace the test of time, but also that is providing a space for culture, for American culture to be created, thrive, and continue to define the American cultural landscape in the future.